Grand a video, but we were in the middle of driving to town, so I didn't get as specific or as detailed as I would have liked to. So today I wanted to come on here and give a more detailed introduction of TrueSeed Women's Village and TrueSeed Healing Temple, who we are, what we do, and why. So this time I have my notes because I like to stay on topic, and I know that sometimes when I'm talking, all these ideas will be coming into my head, and sometimes I need to express them. However, for the sake of this video, I am going to stay focused on what we are talking about. So I'm going to read what I have, and then I'm going to kind of elaborate a little bit on certain things. So, True Seed Women's Village is a space dedicated to the healing, enrichment, and education and empowerment of women. My focus is melanin-rich women. However, any woman of any ethnic background is welcome here. It's not just all brown women, okay? It is Asian women, Mexican women, Caucasian women, any Indian women. I don't care. It's for everyone. It's really for everyone. However, my focus is on melanin rich women because I am a melanin rich woman, and I am operating from the perspective of the pain and also the aspirations of my people. So don't be turned off by that. Inquire more if you're curious about what I mean. However, this is where my focus is right now because I know that women in my bloodline and the women in the bloodline of the women that look like me have some serious shit to work through. So we're doing it together. And that's that. Okay. This is a sacred space for women to visit short-term, long-term, or permanently if they desire to enrich themselves through reconnecting with their own spirits. This is a place where they can break free, where we can break free from the restraints that we have lived through and lived with for so long, the restraints of a male patriarchy. Not saying that we are anti-male, but I'll get to that in a minute. A place of living with these different standards and societies that have been put on us since we were born by other people, and not really being given a chance for us to follow our own true selves or to even learn or love and explore ourselves. So this is another reason why. A place to breathe, heal, cleanse, detoxify our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits, to heal from past and present traumas, and to reconnect with nature. And this is one of the biggest things about this place, because we are in the country, we're in rural Tennessee. There's nothing but nature all around you. And here we are reconnecting back to nature because this is where we come from. Our roots come from nature. Nature is where we seek to go when we want to go on vacations, or when we want to get out of town, or if we need to clear our mind and go for a walk. We go to nature because nature is our healing place. Nature is our mother. It's a place where we nourish our minds and our bodies and our hearts. So we are reconnecting with nature and learning to trust in our intuition, learning to trust in what nature has to offer and teach us. A place to rebuild the bond of sisterhood, motherhood, and childhood, and to live and work in balance as we heal ourselves. So when I say, okay, when I say sisterhood and motherhood and childhood, I mean all of that, because especially for my melanin rich women, we have lived with the stigma that we don't get along and we're catty and that we always have to compete with one another. But that's not true at all, because I know so many beautiful women, so many beautiful, all different types of women. Speaking from a melanin rich perspective, I know so many beautiful melanin rich women who are very supportive, who are very loving and caring. And it's because they went inside and done the inner work on themselves. And that's what this place is about. We're focused on the inner. The outer is just a given. The outer comes with the territory. However, the inner is what shapes everything around us and what pulls everything to us that we need to receive. And whether we perceive it as negative or positive, everything that comes to us and everything that is in our current environment is a reflection of what is going on inside of us. So, working together as sisters to heal one another by healing ourselves. And of course, we could, you don't have to come here to do any of this. However, why not? Why not band together and really create a strong, sound community that is structured on trust, that is structured on self-love, that is structured on doing that inner work so that we can create a bigger pool of energy and really use that out here in the world to actually bring about a true change. Because the more you change yourself, the more the world around you changes. And imagine if there are more of us together working on ourselves and changing ourselves, the experience is going to be more profound and more deep, not just for ourselves but for the world around us and for the nature that we're inhabiting. So, um, motherhood. We are all mothers in some essence. Whether you have children or not, it doesn't matter. You are a mother. You have eggs inside of your body that you were born with. So you are in essence a mother because you're still mothering those eggs even though they're unborn, because everything you're learning now is being given to those eggs. It's being programmed into those eggs, which is why it's an important time for us to work together. It's an important time for us to work on ourselves, because there are younger women coming up behind us and they're still walking around with our scars and our pain and our traumas because we passed it through our blood. They're still walking around with the traumas of our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, our mothers, our ancestors, because they didn't get an opportunity to heal and cleanse themselves the way that we have that opportunity today. And so, because of this, we are mothering ourselves because we are nurturing and nourishing ourselves. We're talking to that inner child, that childhood, returning to our childhood so that we can actually heal the things that we felt have harmed us or that have, shaken us to the core, that have caused us to live our lives and make certain choices that haven't been the best for us. I won't even say haven't been the best, that have been perceived as negative. And because we perceive them as negative, we've kind of held on them in this way that has not allowed us to expand and to grow, and also to heal and to transform that energy into something powerful and something that we can use to accomplish our goals, something that we can use to put ourselves in the place in life where we want to be, where we know that we should be and that we deserve to be. So, mothering ourselves and mothering that little girl inside of us so that we can really move some shit in this world. Um, that childhood as well, because we have to remember that we are still children. We are children of the earth. We are children of our mothers. And this doesn't mean that we can't be our own mothers, and as adult women that we can't um, act accordingly, that we have to be little girls. But what this means is knowing that anyone can be a mother to you and that anyone can impart wisdom to you. Any woman can be a mother and impart wisdom to you. Any woman can nurture and nourish you. Any woman can care for you like you were her own child. And a lot of times, especially melanin rich women, we have trouble accepting these things. And I find a lot that the women that I know in the circle around me, most of us have had a hard time with our mothers. We have gone through this period in our life where we feel like our mothers don't understand us or care enough for us, or that we always have this kind of combating energy with our mothers because of their pains and because of our pains, and nobody's listening. No one's listening to one another. The mother is not listening to the child is not listening to the mother. And so in this case, this gives an opportunity for us, for mothers and daughters even, to come to TrueSeed, or to come together wherever they are in the world and heal one another and listen to one another and hear what each other has to say. Hear those painful stories. Hear the time where you feel like your mom didn't stand up for you, or hear the time where you feel like your daughter was being so disrespectful that it broke your heart. Hear those reasons why, and operate from a space of understanding rather than a space of judgment or a space of, well, I'm your mother, so I hold it in authority over you. The only authority we hold in this world is the authority over ourselves. And, we have to break the stigma and the mentality that because we're a parent, that whatever we say is always going to be what is followed or what is accepted. Because as your children grow, you have to allow them to become adults. You have to allow them to step out into the world and do the things that you have instilled into them, and trust in yourself. So this is another big reason, and I know I'm staying on this topic for a minute because that's just obviously where it needs to go. As women, as mothers, we have to trust that everything we've taught our children, that they will use it. When we keep trying to micromanage them or manipulate them into doing the things that we want them to do or we feel they should do because we think that they're not doing what they know they should do, this shows a lack of trust in ourselves. This shows a lack of trust in our ability, a lack of acceptance with ourselves, because we don't feel like we've been good enough mothers. We don't feel like we've been good enough teachers. And so we cling to our children and we suffocate them in a sense. And this is where you know, that combating energy comes from, because the child wants to show you that they have grown and that they can do whatever it is they need to do. Everyone's going to make mistakes. That's how you learn. Everyone's going to make their own choices and live their own way, but you can't be concerned and caught up and wrapped up in, did I do good enough? You did exactly what you needed. You are the exact perfect mother that you need to be for your child and whatever it is they're doing in their life. It doesn't matter if you were an absent mother. You were the perfect mother because you taught your child something. Whether they have learned from that lesson and learned to transform that energy or not is not up to you. That's completely up to them. Which is things, these are the things that we talk about at TrueSeed. These are the things that we work through at TrueSeed together, because many women out here are experiencing this. Many women, many mothers out here don't feel like they were good enough mothers. And they could have did everything under the sun and still don't feel like they're good enough mothers, just because their children have decided to live lives that go against the things that they've taught them. And vice versa. Some children feel like they were terrible kids because they couldn't do something for their mother who couldn't do something for herself. So these are the things that we are working toward healing and bringing to the light, and sharing and growing together here at TrueSeed Women's Village. Whether you're here for 3 weeks, whether you're here for 3 months, whether you're here for a lifetime, this is part of our goal. Healing the woman as a whole. Okay, let's move down. Our vision is to create a community of powerful, mentally, emotionally, and physically stable women who thrive on self-sufficiency. To cultivate and maintain an environment where we grow, share, and work together, where we teach and raise our children together, where we are all accountable for our choices and actions, with the understanding that in order to heal the world, you must first heal yourself. I've been saying that women are the emotional curators of the world, meaning we manifest and create everything that's happening in the world right now. And I say that because look at how many women are unhappy in this world. Look at how many women are suffering in this world and who are upset about the way things are going, who are suppressed, who are oppressed, who are angry. There's a reason why the world is crumbling. There's that saying, happy wife, happy life, right? So if a woman is unhappy in the household, you already know. Many women, whoever is watching this, even men who are watching this, you already know that when your mama was unhappy, when Big Mama was unhappy, your girl, when your daughter is unhappy, it seems as if the household crumbles. It seems as if everything becomes dry, that everything becomes tense, everything becomes, you know, a you know, a wreck pretty much. And that's because that we take for granted how much our emotional energy supports and stabilizes this world, how much this emotional, over emotional that we're called, however, this sensitivity to emotion supports stabilizes the world, it stabilizes the household, it stabilizes each person because we are nourishing by nature, we are nurturing by nature. And because we are suppressing what we naturally do for ourselves, from ourselves, then this has trailed over and spilled over into all of the world. And I'm not bashing men, but because of that love that we have denied ourselves, we have denied it to these men. We give them half love. We give them half truth because we lie to ourselves about the way we feel to appease, or because we think that it's going to get us somewhere. And it does get us somewhere, but not the place where we want to be, not the place where we know we should be. So because of this, the world is in disarray. And I say the world is in chaos because the women are angry. And and as you see, women are coming together more and more and working on themselves. And you're seeing all these changes happen, all these dramatic changes happen for the better. And that's because we are finally saying, fuck that shit. We're finally saying, this is what I'm going to do to love myself. This is what I'm going to do to empower and heal myself. So this is our vision here at TrueSeed Women's Village, especially for women that want to come here and experience this for themselves. You don't have to stay here. You don't have to live here. We would love to have a tribe of women here that want to serve in the temple alongside of us, which I'll get to the temple in a minute. However, before you can even get into that temple, you have to get into your temple, your inner temple, because this grand temple that we will be working in is just a reflection of all of our energies. It's a reflection of all of our inner temples. The way we love and care for ourselves is how we will be loving and caring for people that's come here and seek healing, that come here to detoxify, that come here to remove illness and disease, whether mental, emotional, or physical, which are all the same thing in my opinion. And this is where people will be coming to learn and heal and sharing the knowledge that we will be sharing within ourselves and sharing with one another. So this environment is conducive to everything that you want to do and everything that you want to be. All the things that we talk about, especially as melanin rich people, we always talk about community and building that community, being back on the barter system, bringing that love and oneness back together. But when it really comes down to it, we still every woman for ourselves, every man for ourselves, because when it really comes time for us to band together, we only band together for bullshit. Okay. And I say this because it's not true for everybody, but for the most part, for what I've been seeing and where I've been moving from the city, moving out of the city, we band together for some drama and some bullshit. But when the drama and bullshit is over, nobody is nowhere to be found. So if you are wanting to be somewhere where there's actual community, where we actually all work together, where we actually share everything with one another, where we actually, you know, work together to build our homes, where we work together to feed ourselves, to grow these gardens, and to, you know, just share in community, raising our kids together, homeschooling, all of these things like we used to do back in our tribes, like we used to do before there was all of this extra bullshit to distract us from the actual love that we had to give ourselves and one another. This is why TrueSeed exists, and why it will continue to. So now let's move on. What are the key points here at TrueSeed Women's Village and temple? The key points are self-sufficiency, sustainability, and community. So I'll just go with that. So as far as self-sufficiency goes, we are here to learn how to grow our own gardens. So these are herb gardens, veggie gardens, rain gardens, and rain gardens are basically gardens that you can plant in places because we have a lot of water that pools on this land. So rain gardens are here so that you can actually use this water rather than trying to amend the land by coming in and filling it with gravel, which we tried, but that don't work. And also like just changing the structure of the land. You basically put plants that are native to water, that love to be in the water, that are native to the land, and they soak up this water. Water Gardens, depending on the size that you build them, can hold over 60 gallons of water, 100 gallons of water. And this is all going to be powering the trees that we plant in those spaces, the plants that we plant in those spaces, which will become food and medicine. So self-sufficiency and self-sustainability, learning how to grow your own food and medicine, as well as fruit trees and nut trees, which also serve as food and medicine. Working with many native plants of the environment and creating a sustainable source of food and medicine. Excuse me. And natural dyes for fabrics when we're working on fabrics, or when we're making baskets, when we're doing whatever it is we're doing. We don't have to use things that are harmful to the environment. We don't have to take from what already is existing, unless you are wildcrafting, which is also something that we'll be learning. So the next thing I have on here is composting, raising goat, chicken, and duck to produce egg, milk, and natural medicines, natural soaps, and meat for those that eat meat. Everyone here does not have to eat meat. There are times when I eat meat, and there are times when I don't. This is me trusting in my body. Whatever my body is asking for within reason, I accommodate it, because there's a reason why your body asks for these things, which these are also things that we will be teaching at TrueSeed, because there is no one size fits all for your body, because your body is unique to you and your emotional, mental, and physical needs. So let's move on down. Creating water powered electricity through the use of natural creek and water mill, as well as creating water catchment systems. So I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I could turn this around. Okay. As you can see, probably not, it's kind of hard to see, those little wood pieces over there, those are pretty much the stakes that we put in the ground, because we're about to build um, 3 water catchment system, one behind the cabin, and then one right where I just showed you. I mean, 2 right where I just showed you. And this is because here in Tennessee, in the winter, instead of snowing, it rains. So we're in the rainy season right now. And so we were thinking, like, well, how can we work with this? How can we work with nature here? How can we use the resources that we have in order to become more self-sufficient? Because that's what we're about, right? Self-sufficiency and self-sustainability. We use water from the creek, which is literally like 100 feet this way from the cabin. And we are currently working on building a water mill so that we can have sustainable electricity, to excuse me, I'm trying to, I should have just turned this off. Anyway. So we're doing have a sustainable electricity, basically. And if we wanted to get electricity, like 2 stacks. So I'm like, one, electricity is not really all that important, because we charge our phone in the truck. Our neighbor that is next door does share their electricity with us from time to time. So this is also a plus. But because we are just beginning, these are things that we're doing. However, we are striving for self-sufficiency and self-sustainability. So building the water mill will help us with generating energy, a natural source of energy, as well as these water catchment systems. So let me get back to explaining it. The water catchment systems basically help to catch the rainwater that falls, because you can't tell right now, but when it rains a lot, this whole middle section is completely full of water. It's like ankle deep. So we're like, okay, how can we work with this? How can we divert this water and use it for something, other than it just sitting on top of here, because it takes so long for it to absorb into this soil, because it's kind of sandy, and it's also kind of, well, in certain spots in this particular area, there's a lot of clay in this area, so the water doesn't readily absorb in as quickly as it could in other places. And also, this place served as a farm for many years, so the soil has been compacted and compacted and compacted from these big ass tractors that were rolling on it. And so we also have to, work with the land. So we have to do some tilling in order to aerate the soil pretty much, so that when it rains, the water actually absorbs into the spots that it needs to. So the water catchment here, we are building a at least 6 foot high um, well, I guess you could call it, and it's going to be dug down 4 feet deep, so that water from other parts of the property, that pool, that are draining, we're going to have drain systems on the property, especially around the cabin, because there's literally like a moat that forms around here when it rains very heavily. So we're going to be having a piping, what do they call those? Water drainage systems that drain into the water catchment system, so that this water will fill up, and then we will be able to use this water for washing ass, washing clothes, hair, dishes, and things like that. But also as a way to irrigate our gardens. We will have some raised bed gardens, and we have some gardens that will be in the ground. But it will be to help really really pool our resources here, because you're out in the country, there is no city water, so you're not going to be able to just turn on a faucet and get some water to come out of it. We will also be digging a well, which will also serve as something that we can use immediately, for whatever purpose, whatever you need it for. So this is a part of our self-sufficiency and self-sustainability, learning how to do these things, so that we don't really have to depend on anybody else for anything. Also have, or I already said that. Okay, so building and maintaining a general store and apothecary as an income generating addition to the neighboring community, as well as working in conjunction with the facilities in the area. So because we will be building this general store, and also because we will be farming, basically, we have ways that we can generate income that we share amongst ourselves, ways that we will generate income to support whatever it is that we need to do. If we need to build something new, if we need to repair something, we won't just be out here, not having, the resources. And in all actuality, we will always have the resources we need to do anything that we need to do, because that's the perception, and that's the mentality here, and that's the energy that we put out into the world at TrueSeed. So we'll never be without anything that is an absolute necessity. The general store and apothecary. So the apothecary and the general store is for the neighboring community. Town is about 20 to 30 minutes away. So if you need something, but you only need like some eggs, or you only need some milk, or you only need, a cup of flour, it doesn't make sense for you to drive 30 minutes away to buy something, and then drive 30 minutes back. That's a whole hour. That's plenty gas that you're wasting to have to go into town to get something. So because of that, we are building a general store here that will serve as a community shop, basically, where people of the community can come and also get to know us, but also they will be able to have some homegrown veggies and fruits, home canned veggies and fruits, meats, eggs, whatever you need. The apothecary serves as a medicine. So when people are looking for alternative sources of medicine to help them through their illness, to help them through whatever it is they're going through, they will have a place to come, because obviously I won't say sell, but I am an herbalist. I am a medicine woman. So this is my medicine. This is the medicine that I offer to others. And so they'll be able to get a chance to learn about those things. Also, we will be helping out the churches in the area and the food drives within the area when we have the means to do so. So really building a community within a community, and teaching our children these things so they learn as they grow. They don't have to want for anything. If they want to go live in the wild, they can do that. If they want to live in the city, they can do that. However, they will have the mindset, the mentality, the emotional stability and balance to make those things happen for themselves. And I have down here wild crafting to harvest abundant herbs for medicinal and spiritual purposes. So there are certain herbs and plants here that grow in abundance that can be wild harvested for medicinal purposes. So basically, learning about herbs, we are in a valley area of sorts. So there's not a lot of tree coverage for, which is why we're planting trees as well to the property to get the most of that, and we will be solar powering many of the facilities that we will build, including the cabin, but also as we build the other facilities, as we build the temple, as we build the main eating space, the grand hall, as we build other homes and retreat homes for people that will come for the workshops or people that will be coming to stay short term or long term. There will be uh, a little bit of power and energy there. So the next key points of TrueSeed Temple and Women's Village are cleansing, transformation, and healing. These are the biggest points here because as we come here, and since I've been here, since we've been here, we've done a lot of cleansing internally, a lot of mental cleansing, a lot of physical cleansing. I've lost a lot of weight. I've lost a lot of baggage, that I was carrying around with me because this place does not allow it. Because this place we were guided to this place. This place was chosen for us. This place chose us, and we accepted it. So we knew that coming here, there were certain things that we were going to have to do, and we have no choice to do them because the land demands it. This space demands it, and that's how powerful it is here. That's how powerful TrueSeed is here. You cannot be here and not work on your be here and not look at yourself and dive into yourself. Eat your ass alive because this is a space of cleansing and deep healing. And whoever was here before there was ever a farm, that energy is still here deep. That the people of my heritage used to inhabit the whole land of Tennessee, okay? So that heritage, and we still find artifacts, arrowheads, spearheads, and all kinds of things uh washing up in the creek, fossils and all kind of things. So that energy is still here and is here deep and is here strong. So you can feel it when you're here, especially when it comes to your spiritual practices, the things that you do spiritually. So let me get to the points. Encouraging the release and transformation of toxic and stagnant and old energy through mental, emotional, and physical detoxification. Creating a healthy environment and promoting positive energy to help us share our pain, our traumas, and our fears, as well as our joys, our goals, and aspirations. Listening to ourselves and one another and working together to help each other heal. These are important factors because pretty much everything I said at the intro of this video, in the beginning of this video, and speaking about how women need to come together and unite and focus on themselves in a way that they haven't done before. This is how we are creating that change in the world, how we are creating that balance in the world by doing it within ourselves. And if we are willing to work together and share, many of us have never shared half of the shit that's happened to us with anyone. We haven't even talked to ourselves about it. And so we kind of keep this energy wound tightly in us, and it affects everything we do. It affects every relationship we enter into. It affects every job we have or career choice. It affects the relationship we have with our children. It affects the relationship we have with the world around us. It affects the relationship we have with food, with nature, with money, with literally every single thing. And because we are not aware of it, or not aware of how to work through these things, we just go through life, barely making it, barely living our dreams, barely accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish. So because of this, TrueSeed exists. so that you can learn how to work through these things. You don't have to do them alone. And sharing them, and sharing yourself, and sharing your pain, your traumas, and your what you perceive to be failures and your negative perceived experiences, you help heal other women, because other women have experienced those same things. But in the same token, you also give yourself the opportunity to hear wisdom, because there are women that have experienced the same things as you, but they've learned to work through them in different ways. And you can get some knowledge and information that you've been asking for, just by telling somebody what has happened to you, and telling somebody how you felt all these years. And I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight. However, as time passes, and as you learn to trust yourself more, you learn to trust in other people more, who you know have your best heart, have your best interests at heart, because they have their best interests at heart. You transform yourself into this powerful, more amazing person, who is able to communicate clearly with herself and with others, who's able to create and cultivate an emotional and mental and physical relationship built off of trust with yourself. Because you trust yourself, you'll be able to trust in the choices you make, trust in the people that you choose to be around, trust in the way that you're raising your child, and trust in the way that the world is unfolding at your feet. Learning how to express ourselves in a healthy and productive way, learning to work through depression, suppression, and oppression, learning to communicate with ourselves about our own needs and desires. So before we can focus on anybody else, we are focusing on ourselves. I always say that any gift that you have, excuse me, any gift that you have to offer the world, whether you can sing, whether you can dance, whether you can write, whether you can speak well, um whether you have intuitive psychic abilities that you use, whatever gifts you have, these are for yourself first and foremost, because these are the tools you were instilled with in order to navigate this life. These are the tools that you were instilled with in order to heal yourself. These are the tools that you were instilled with in order to grow and empower yourself here on this physical plane. This is the world in the realm of experience, of physicality, of material. So you're going to have to feel here to heal here. And that's just the bottom line. And if we learning to listen to ourselves is the most important, because we don't listen to shit. We be out here listening to everybody but ourselves. Our bodies speak to us every day when we're achy, when we're tired, but we ignore them. We push those things to the side because we feel like we have to do certain things in order to function in this world. And so because we do that, that's not just on that level, it's on every single level of your life. You miss all the messages and all the lessons that you pray for because you're not listening to yourself. So if you don't listen to yourself, which is where spirit resides, you're not going to be able to recognize what's good for you, or what you should be listening to that's in your external world. These are things that we teach here at TrueSeed. These are things that we live by at TrueSeed. Listening is one of the main things, the most important things. Are you listening? How are you listening? Learning to be aware of our energy through day-to-day activities. So here we live based off of the art of intentional living, and that's what we call it, the art of intentional living, because everything you do in your life has a purpose. When you go to the sink and drink that cup of water, you should be empowering yourself, because your body is asking for something. Your body is thirsty, right? So what are you feeding it? Not just water. You should be feeding it positive energy. As you drink this water, you should be thanking it. You should be grateful that you can go to your sink and turn some water on. You should be thankful that you can use your own hands and arms to feed yourself and fuel yourself. Water is programmable. So as you're allowing this water to fill up, what are you powering into yourself? What are you pouring into yourself? The water, you can be thinking affirmations. You can be thinking, I'm a powerful and strong and healthy on every level. I'm creative. I'm beautiful. I'm healing. All of these things, because you're going to drink them down. You're going to consume them. and they're going to program your body as well. So everything we do here, we do with intention. Taking a walk, feeling our feet on the earth, we're constantly connecting with the earth. We're showing gratitude to the earth by working with it instead of working against it or working to destroy it. Everything you do has intention, and everything you do has a purpose, and everything you do affects the entire planet. Every single thing is connected here. There is nothing that is not connected here. Even parasites are beautiful creatures, because what do parasites feed on? They feed on the bullshit in your body. So if you have an abundance of parasites in your body, it's not the parasites that are the problem, because the parasites there are really there to correct the issue, because you have an overflow of toxic energy. You have an overflow of acidic energy in your body. And so God has created, or universe or spirit, whomever you call, has created every single thing very intricately and very intimately. Only thing that is the defining factor is our level of understanding and our level of perception. If you lack understanding about how your body works, you're not going to respect the parasite. You're not going to respect the virus. You're not going to respect the cancer. As crazy as that sounds, because these are not things that come from the outside of us. These are things that develop on the inside of us. So if they're developing on the inside of us, that must mean something, and that must mean something deep. But here you will learn about the connection of your body on every level, every organ, every cell. And I probably jumped way ahead of myself, but it just needed to be said. Every bone, every system in the body, every part of your body and every function of your body, you will learn to and come to understand it, so that you can respect it, so that you can respect the foods that are intentionally, intimately, and intricately designed for you. So you can learn to respect the garden that you're growing. So you can learn to respect the soil that the garden is growing out of. Because all of these things, I see there are people here, but I can't really see you. So hello, and thanks for stopping by. These are to help you learn about everything you are. Everything in nature is a reflection of yourself, from the soil to the roots to the trees to the seeds. All of it is about you. So let me move on down the list. Oh, I'm dropping stuff. And for those of you who are tuning in, I am talking about TrueSeed Women's Village and Temple that we have opened here in rural Tennessee. And we are in the building process, the building stage of it. So, go back and watch the replay when it's done, because I said a lot of shit already. And welcome. Okay, so learning what love truly means to us as individuals and as a community, and sharing it with ourselves and with others, seeing it in the world around us. So I kind of spoke about that already, but learning what love truly means to you as an individual, not because I say this is how I love myself and this is how you have to love yourself. Not that at all, because the way I love myself is going to be different from the way you love yourself, because we're all unique. We all have unique paths, and all have unique ways to achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve in our life. But by being here and by learning the basic core values, you learn what is right for you. You learn what works for you and how we can do that together. Like I said, it's all a reflection of nature. There are 7,000 different types of trees, right? They all live in the same soil and they work together, no questions asked. They don't fight one another. They don't try to, destroy one another. They feed off of one another. They communicate with one another. Just like all these grasses growing here together, all these herbs and vegetation growing within the grasses, they are all working together to essentially do the same thing, which is to nourish the planet and which is to nourish us. We can do that same thing as a community, especially a community of women. We need to be doing those same things. We need to be working with our minds. We need to be working with our own hearts for ourselves, and then bringing that information together. And we should be able to have difference of opinions without fighting. We should be able to have difference of ideas without fighting about it, or without being combative about it, or without being bougie about it. Like, okay, just because you have an idea and I have an idea, how can we work these things together? How can we help one another? How can we learn from one another the things that we all have to share? Because we're all each other's reflections, right? We're all each other's mothers and sisters and children. So there's no reason why we as a community cannot band together with our differences, because our differences are what make us unique. All trees don't have the same, they have the same function in essence, but they all share different medicines. Birch can cleanse the skin and cleanse the blood, while oak can cleanse the stomach and the digestive system. Okay, but they all give off, oxygen to the world, right? And we all breathe in that oxygen. So that's the same thing with us. One woman may have more knowledge about health, and one woman may have more knowledge about business. One woman may have more knowledge about gardening, whatever the case may be. That doesn't mean that we don't have anything to learn from one another, and it doesn't mean that we don't have anything to teach one another. And we can grow together and turn all of those things into one beautiful thing. So let me move down the list. Oh, okay. Learning to love and embrace the darker aspects of ourselves and turning our perceived weaknesses into strengths and powers to manifest and materialize our goals. So, there are those dark parts of ourselves, right? The parts of ourselves that we try to hide, the parts of ourselves we don't want to really look at because it's painful, really. Who wants to admit that they're an asshole? How was my battery low? Okay. Who wants to admit that they're a negative person? Who wants to admit that they've hurt somebody or wronged somebody or harmed somebody? People don't really want to admit that because of the way they perceive themselves. We have to give ourselves the space to heal. We've all done something to hurt someone. We've all done something that was shady. We've all done something to hurt ourselves or to intentionally be a certain type of way that was not necessarily a positive or a positive perceived way. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, and it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. This is life, and these are the experiences that we have because they teach us something greater about ourselves. So during these dark moments, which a lot of us are experiencing right now, because look at all the stuff that's going on in the world, like all the R. Kelly shit that's happening, all these other scandals that are happening in the world that are triggering us, triggering the dark moments that we remember, and we don't want to see them because we're like, no, I don't want to live down that road again, and it's painful, and you haven't healed from it because you're triggered by it. Learning to work through those triggers. Why is it triggering you? That means there's something that you have not accepted about that situation. There's something that you have not allowed to grow. You haven't allowed yourself the opportunity to mourn. You haven't allowed yourself the opportunity to heal. And I want to say something deeply about that. Especially, it don't matter what ethnicity you are from, because every woman of every ethnicity, our bloodlines have experienced some bullshit, honey. We have experienced these things. Imagine growing and going through these times, ancestors, all the way back, all the women in your family. Imagine not being able to mourn because people are ripping your village apart, people are ripping your families apart. Imagine not being allowed to mourn the death of your child, of your children. Imagine having to shut the fuck up because nobody want to hear you crying because something terrible happened to you. You have to swallow that pain down into your body, and it destroys you. It destroys the blood, because look at how many of us are working through traumas that don't even belong to us. Look at how many of us are dealing with these emotions, especially during our menstrual or our moon cycle time. We get so emotional. We don't know where these emotions are coming from. We don't know why we've had these random outbursts to cry, or these deep ass pains inside of us where we just feel so overwhelmed. And that's because it's in our blood. Working here at TrueSeed is working through the blood, healing the bloodline. And because we even now we do not give ourselves the opportunity to mourn the things that have happened to us. I've been a victim of sexual assault And I didn't give myself the opportunity to mourn. I choked it up. I swallowed it away. I did not want anybody to know about it. And because of that, the choices I made in life reflected the things that I were holding on to. And it's disrespectful to our ancestors, because now we have the platform, we have the opportunities to really heal ourselves. And by healing ourselves, we heal all the women in our family that are alive and that are not alive anymore. We have the opportunity to go back in time and travel back in time and change the past and change history. We really do. And that's what we're doing now here at TrueSeed. But like I said, you don't have to be at TrueSeed to do that. But because we're talking about TrueSeed, that's where I'm bringing it at. Here we are focusing on mourning the pains that we didn't mourn, grieving, whether it's from a relationship, whether it's because something happened to you, whether it's because you did something. Oh, battery. Just making sure. My battery is slowly draining. Hold on. Okay, we're good now. Whether it's something that you did, these are things that we are working through, because you have to. If you don't, it's going to eat you alive. And we're only going to continue to pass these things on through our blood, through our children, male and female. We're only going to be continue to pass these things on into life, and we're going to continue creating this cycle. Why would you want to keep creating this cycle? Why would you want to keep going through the same emotional traumas and dramas? Why would you not want to clear yourself of that? Because when you finally grieve and heal and mourn, you give your body space to accept love. You give your body space to accept forgiveness and gratitude and abundance. And this is when the richness of life comes to you, because it's always there and it's always around you, but you'll never notice it because you're too busy focusing on the things that have harmed you or the things that have harmed your mother. Like we are suffering from things that don't even belong to us because they didn't get an opportunity to get corrected. So that's what we're doing here. When I say learning to embrace the darker aspects of ourselves, that's what I'm talking about. Embracing those dark moments and turning them into something powerful, transforming them into medicine and using them to heal your mind, using them to create richness and wealth and abundance in your life. Okay, let's move down the list. So now we are working on the final points of TrueSeed, the key points that we focus on here, and that is nourishment, wellness, and education. So let's start off with the children, and not just the children, because this is also what we're learning as adults. Some of these things are things we have not yet learned for ourselves as adults. So homeschooling with a wholesome curriculum that includes basic traditional, or what we call traditional subjects, such as maths, English, accurate accounts of history. Not no old bullshit ass history that we've been taught in schools, but accurate accounts of history. Science, home economics, and social studies. And for obvious reasons, we're not trying to cut ourselves off from the world and be all anti, like, oh no, it's not a cult or anything like that. This is a community, and we still have our ties with the outside world. That's what people want to call it. We still have those ties there, but here we are focusing on the core of these things, learning the basic things. And like, as far as history goes, I'm not teaching none of that shit. And anyone that's coming here, we're focusing on true and accurate accounts of history. So I'll get into that another day. Children also have an opportunity to learn other skills and trades, such as woodworking, farming, gardening, herbal medicine, first aid, and so much more. There's so much things that they'll be learning because we'll all be learning it. Crafting, wild crafting, learning how to find your food in the wild, learning what's good, what's poisonous, what's non-poisonous, learning that even the poisonous plants of nature are not really poisons, but they are medicines to be used at particular times. Also learning how to defend ourselves, the art of self-defense, learning how to use your intuition and work with your intuitive gifts and abilities and expand on them so that you become a powerful force. Learning how to work with your discernment. All of these things our children will be learning and will be learning at the same time. Children have an opportunity to grow up in a safe environment with lots of opportunity to learn about nature. They grow up in an environment where they learn the importance of energy, communication, accountability, and self-sufficiency. So we pretty much already talked about that. But this is especially important. The kids these days don't know how to do shit. When we were children, we were outside all day until the streetlights came on. So these days, kids are so wrapped up in technology, which is not good or bad. However, I feel like there's so much in one type of world that they don't know a lot about the world outside of technology that's around them. And this could be detrimental because what if technology breaks down? What if the world shuts down? You know what I'm saying? The grid shuts down. How are our children going to be able to care for themselves? How are we going to be able to care for ourselves and survive? How will we sustain ourselves without having to steal from someone or kill somebody to get something? You know what I'm saying? So they'll have the opportunity to learn to really be self-sufficient from jump. So when they become adults, they have the mentality and the emotional capacity to function and to actually do the things that they need to do without bringing harm to themselves or another. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Is this charging? It is slowly going down. What is going on? So if this cuts off, I'll come back later. Because I don't. Let me try one more time. These lives really eat the hell out of your battery. So if it shuts off, you know, my bad. So I'll wrap this up because this is really the last points that I want to make anyway. Learning different modalities. This is for everybody. Learning different modalities of energy work, crystal therapy, Reiki or laying on of hands, energy work, sound therapy, music therapy, color therapy, plant therapy, everything, animal therapy, learning how to work with nature to heal yourself, to empower yourself, to educate yourself. I'll go into that in greater detail because, like I said, this battery is draining fast. Learning all parts and functions of the body. And I said that already, so I don't really have to go into that either. And the role our emotions and thoughts have in its process. Learning the importance of proper nourishment, rest, learning about the vibrations and energies held within the foods we consume, how to use them to empower us on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Learning the importance of discipline, focus, and determination through the art of movement, through the art of dance, through the art of or martial arts. I said through the art of it, but learning martial arts, learning the art of self-defense and self-preservation through various activities such as archery, staff and spear work, basic self-defense techniques, martial arts, and survival training. So these are the core, at the core, on the surface, the things that we will be working towards, the things that we'll be working on, the things that we'll be working through, and the things that we'll be working together with, through together. And so I think I'll leave it here because I've been on here for a whole almost a whole 60 minutes. So this is TrueSeed Healing Temple and Village, Women's Village. If you have any questions and if you'd like to know more, you can visit our website, which I'll put down in the description. If you would like to donate to our cause, because we would love donations, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about books. We're building a library. If you want to send us books on gardening, on accurate accounts of history, on math, learning things, you can send us those things by sending me an email, which I will also put in the information below. Resources, ideas, plans, any of those things, those we consider donations. It does not have to just be money. But if you want to send some money, you can also do that as well. So thanks to everybody that stopped by, to everybody that's going to stop by and see this. I hope that you support our mission, and I hope that you feel and understand why it is we're doing this and what we're doing it for, and that you can feel the love that we're sharing. So I thank you all. I love y'all. I love myself.